All right. Okay, everybody, welcome to a special commission meeting in the City of Sweetwater. Meeting date Thursday, June 30th, 2016 at 8 p.m. Commission Chambers, 500 Southwest 109th Avenue. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Clerk will note all members present, sir.
Okay, everybody could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I would like to ask our dear Commissioner Jose Pepe Diaz to guide us in the invocation. Go ahead, Commissioner. This is your home. Come on.
Yes, that's right.
Please bow your heads. Our Lord, thank you for the ability to live in such a great country, that you allow us to have freedoms, and that government is here to help the people of this great country. Thank those that are in the position to try to do so. Bless them, bless the citizens, bless this great country. Bless us all, my Lord, as we hear the proceedings today, especially many of those that don't have the benefit of having the freedom that we share every day. Also, my Lord, be with President Bourguignon and his family as they go through the hardship of the loss of his father. Be with them. Bless us all once again. In your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Okay, I'd like to see if anybody would like to say any public comments. Anybody would like to come up? Commissioner? Yes, sir.
Marquez, you wanna come? I haven't been here too many times after I left a seat to Mr. Mayor Lopez's city, but the times I've been here is because of important issues. And today I'm here because of an important issue. The city of Sweetwater, to me, it is incredibly important. Since I was 8 years old, I lived in the city of Sweetwater. And I had a great neighbor in front, Ms. Val Schmidt, for a long time. And I would tell you that today I'm here because certain things that bother me, and I want to make sure that we move forward because the city is the most important thing. The citizens, Pueblo. It's important that we find ways to make sure that they're the ones that are best represented always. And especially when there's financial issues, and I hear about all these financials. Recently, I heard today on the radio, the mayor was basically saying that, the county has not come forth. I would tell you that the county is here, will be here, to help out in any need that this city has. I'm accompanied by the deputy mayor of Miami-Dade County. He is also the finance director for Miami-Dade County. He is Mr. Ed Marquez. Mr. Ed Marquez, if you probably know the name, was the man that when the city of Miami had the problems that it had, this was the man that brought the city out of the financial situation. So we're here, and I want to go through some chronicle events that took place to make sure that everybody understands, and I'm here to make sure that the city definitely needs us to come in and help as much as we can. And Mr. Marquez will follow up and let them know the situation that you might have. But the most important thing is I want to go through the list, and I want to thank the mayor's assistant for back and forth and getting this. So I mentioned you a couple of times because everything that's here, by the way, that I'm going to talk about is available tomorrow. It's all in emails and all very clear. So we'll put the package together, whoever would like to see that if you doubt anything that I'm saying here today. With that, the executive assistant to the mayor on May 21st contacted my office, my chief of staff, to request a meeting with myself regarding the city's finance. On the same day, May 23rd, my chief of staff offered the date of May 31st, 2016. I'm not going to keep you repeating 2016. Bear me, I'm just going through whatever's here and trying to summarize it. At 9 a.m. in the morning, that the county will provide key budget peoples to the meeting, as well as the county attorneys, and request for the city to come with their budget finance director and attorney, and of course, mayor and the chief of staff. On May 23rd, also, the mayor's assistant agreed on the date of May 21st as dated for the meeting. On May 24th, the city of Sweetwater mayor's assistant sent an email stating that the city mayor was not available on May 31st and requested another date that the only attendees to take place on behalf of the city would be the mayor and his chief of staff. On May 24th, again that day, my chief of staff responded that there is nothing available for the rest of the week of the 31st. And the city needed the meeting as soon as possible, as requested by the mayor, to schedule could be accommodated, and we requested if his schedule could be accommodated for the 31st, for the county staff was already confirmed for the 31st. On May 24th, again, the same day, the city of Sweetwater executive assistant to the mayor responded that the city mayor is not available on the 31st, and that the city chief of staff advised that no county people were needed for the meeting. And there, the meeting requested should be only between myself, Mayor Lopez, and the chief of staff, Mr. Venturas. On May 26th, my chief of staff emailed executive assistant, Mayor Lopez, to confirm the purpose of the meeting as originally requested, and stated that the county staff needed to attend the meeting in order to provide the county assistance. On May 27th, the city of Sweetwater assistant, again to the mayor, sent an email to my chief of staff that she appreciated the efforts made by the scheduling that the meeting on the first week of June in order for the mayor of Sweetwater to attend. On May 31st, my chief of staff provided June 9th as a date to meet at 9 a.m. On May 31st, again, the assistant to the mayor of Sweetwater said that June 9th the meeting could take place. On June 9th again, myself, I met with Mayor Lopez, the chief of staff Ventura, and in attendance in the meeting were the representatives of the county's Office of Management and Budget, the county director of audits, and the management and the members of her staff. Representatives of the county's attorney's office, 2 attorneys I believe were there, and members of my staff were also there. After the introductions of the mayor, and we conversed, basically said hi to everybody and so on, at that time, in observance of the Miami-Dade Ethics of Public Trust, I left the meeting and left them there as stated so they could converse and discuss the issues in hand. On June 9th, sequential to the meeting, my chief of staff emailed both the mayor and the chief of staff to confirm the city's request and the county's assistance for the help needed. On June 14th, we had sent another request asking for the information to be able, for the email to confirm the city's request for the county to come in and assist. On June 17th, my chief of staff sent another email following up for the June 9th meeting, asking to seek the confirmation of the city's request for the county's assistance. On June 21st, in the order to try to help as much as possible, I took it upon myself through a memorandum, to the mayor of the county, Carlos Jimenez, and explain relating to what transpired on the June 9th meeting, and asked the county for assistance directly anyways. And on June 21st, the chief of staff, Mr. Ventura, sent an email saying that on behalf of the mayor, that the city is requesting financial, accounting, and subsequent budgetary assistant. I wanted to be clear to state these facts before all of you here today, so you can understand that the county and myself are very interested in helping in anything that we can the city of Sweetwater. Deputy Mayor Marquez is here. Do you want to provide any information, Mr. Marquez? And then I'll follow up and close.
Good evening. My name is Edward Marquez. As the commissioner stated, I'm the deputy mayor over I'm basically the CFO for the county. I'm also the finance director.
Somebody took the title away.
That's okay. Our involvement first of all, let me say that the office of the mayor has not received anything in writing directly from the city here asking for assistance. Recently we were out at the city of Opelika, helping them before the state got involved. And we were there because the mayor of Opelika had contacted our mayor and set up a meeting, and we had our district commissioner there, and we went through initially, and then we sent some people down after we've talked to our county commission about why we should be helping out, because there was a formal request. On June the 9th, it was the meeting that the commissioner alluded to, and like he said, there was his staff there was office management, budget staff, there was the county attorney's office, and there was a discussion with the mayor and with the assistant that I understand that the city did request accounting personnel to help reconcile and budgetary assistance to help put together the budget. What I understand to have been said by my staff is basically, budgets need to have closed books in order to, as a beginning place. You need to know where the last year ended. Even if it's not audited, you need a set of records that have been closed, okay, in order to build from there for a budget. As far as the accounting personnel, it's the same thing. If we were here, if you want assistance in reconciling books, to reconcile, you need closed books to reconcile to. So that's that was requested. The staff had asked for cash flow, and so that we can see when the city was anticipated on having run out of cash. I think they were told that the city was going to have a cash problem come August, and my internal auditor Kathy Jackson wanted to see a cash flow. That's a starting point. So we were basically waiting until we got some official notification from the city before we could come back out and help reconcile stuff. The city of Sweetwater's residents are our residents too. Okay. Although the city is not a subdivision of the county, we are one big family when it comes to living here in Miami-Dade County, and we want to see all our municipal governments thrive. So when you do know when you have a starting point for us, we can come in and help, and I just want to express that to the council and to the mayor. So that's basically it. If there's any questions, please feel free to ask.
Thank you, sir.
I just wanted to add to that once again, to the mayor, to Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, Madam Vice President, and the rest of the commissioners, we are here to help in any way we possibly can. I met with the mayor of the county today. He expresses that so heartily, that to make sure that, and Mr. Marquez, our deputy mayor, is here to make sure that you understand that you have us to be able to go through things. But like Mr. Marquez said, you need to have books, you need to have that information. We're willing to help you if you can make it happen, but we need to know. So we appreciate that Ms. Ventura sent the letter requesting only on the 23rd. But again, I think you guys, whatever we could do, we're here. I leave you in great hands with Olga, my assistant here. So anything that you guys need, please contact my office. And once again, any of this information that you might doubt, the way I basically specified, I just went over it, it's accessible in my office tomorrow if you need a package or you need to request it. Okay? So, any other questions?
Not right now, but I'm sure we're going to be sending you a lot of questions.
Okay?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for everything,
Thank you very much,
guys.
Mr. Marquez. Thank you. Okay,
We do have one other request to address the commission by Wilson Medina.
Mr. Medina, would you like to come up and address the commission?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, ladies and gentlemen of the commission, Madam Clerk, Counselor. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Sergeant Wilson Medina. I've been employed here for 13 years. I work out of the Criminal Investigations Division. Also been the PBA rep here for many years, and over 10 years I've been the president of the pension board as well. So in essence, I wear a lot of hats, per se. I come before you just to get accurate numbers because we do want to help the city in every way, shape, or form. And I'm sorry, this is Pete Strong. He is our actuary from the pension board. So he's basically our numbers guy, and he protects our pension, for that matter, under the defined benefit plan that we have. I have a few folders that I set up for you all, if I may.
Yes, sir. Excuse me.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Got
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Can I borrow the one? I made like four. You can keep the other one. Hold on, let me get it. I kind of did it in chronological order. The very first page is highlighted for everyone. This, if I'm not mistaken, is a report that Mr. Mendez, I guess, concluded with. And he's gonna jump in and please ask any questions. Number A, which I have there, that the pension went from 6 to 20, the fiscal year 14 and 15. That's inaccurate. It went up to 20, yes it did. But if I'm not mistaken, 2 years, right?
Yeah, it took 2 years to go to that point instead of just one.
Okay, so those are accurate figures, but the years, again, are wrong. To number 3, where it says changes from part-time to full-time, new hires. Mr. Strong gave me a list, and it's this page here, it's probably the second one, or the third one, I'm sorry. Kind of did this kind of quick. Mr. Strong was under the impression that we still had 46 full-time officers, which at this time, we do not have that. It dwindled down by 20, as you can see there. It was done, I'm sorry, it was done very quick because I didn't have time to do this. But it shows there the separation dates that the officers that are no longer here had. And that figure that you see there on the side is the employer contribution that would have been contributed had they been here. So in essence, if you flip the page, it's a rough estimate. I didn't do it to the penny, but it's over $202,000 that no longer gets contributed because those individuals are not here. And in total salaries is $949,000. If you flip the page, I'm sorry, there's quite a few pages here, and it's highlighted as well. And I'm gonna have Pete jump in after this, because this is his forte. Pete? With this.
Sure. Basically what happened was a few years ago, the benefit multiplier, that's the rate at which pension benefits are earned per year of service, was increased from 2% to 2.5. And that is mainly what drove the increase from around 6% of pay up to about 19 to 20% of pay. That was passed, I believe, in 2012, or was it early 13?
I believe early 13.
All right, and then, so that impacted the 13-14 contribution. Then we were asked to do some studies, and I believe they have a copy of this,
Yes,
right?
they do.
There's an October 22nd, 2013
You want to show it to them which one it is?
letter that, it looks like this. Yeah, GRS letterhead. The board was interested in seeing some numbers, some calculations of what the impact would be to go to a higher multiplier than the 2.5. And they asked to see what it would be at 2.75, 2.85, and 3.0. And based on the 2013 valuation, which is what the latest information we had at the time, we estimated that the contributions would go to 26.24 if the contribution or if the benefit multiplier was increased to 2.75, and to 31.84% if the contribution, the benefit multiplier was increased to 3. And so this information was almost 3 years ago communicated to the city at that time. But then just last year, the benefit multipliers were increased about a year and a half ago to 2.75 and 3%. About a year after we did this impact letter. The actual results ended up being a little less than that. There were some good investment return results during 2014 and 2015 that helped mitigate the effects of this. The actual increase was up to our now current level of about 26% of pay, instead of all the way to 31.8% of pay. The current benefits that are being valued in our actuarial reports are a 2.75/3. 2.75 only in effect for 1 year, and then 3% from 2016 on. That was what was passed by resolution about a year and a half ago. There are not future anticipated increases beyond the 26 or 27% of pay. That reflects the 3% multiplier that goes into effect next year. We modeled that in our evaluation results, so there's no additional increases coming. If we had reflected the drop in payroll, which he was talking about earlier, we have to use a measurement as of one point in time. Our evaluation date is October 1, 2015. We have to use the census data reported to us as of that date. As of that date, a lot of these people that left in October, November, and on the sheet that he had marked up, a lot of those people hadn't left yet. And so if we had done the valuation now instead of as of October 1, payroll would have been less, the contribution would have been less. And so once we get to the next valuation on October 1, 2016, the contribution should go back down, reflecting the drop in payroll. So with that, I'll open it up to any questions.
Well, the only question I have is, has the city ever come to renegotiate or help make a plan to help us out through our financial issues that we've had? That, like you said, this came from 2-3 administrations ago, and issues that have been, plaguing the city, and we had to pay up certain items. And has anybody ever come to you and asked you to, payment terms, or try to negotiate something or help?
No, they have not come to me to ask about that, no.
All right. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you
Appreciate
very
it.
much. Thank you.
To the chair.
Sir?
Sir, you have in this graph here 275, 285, and a 3. In what years does these percentages or multipliers apply?
These were estimates of what would happen if the benefit multiplier was increased to those levels. And they actually did pass the 2.75 and effective this year and 3% next year. And those new multipliers are taken into account in our latest valuation, which has a 27% of pay contribution requirement. So it's a little bit less than the 31%.
All right, thank you.
And I wanted to mention one other thing, because Wilson was telling me that there's potential that the contribution won't be made or won't be able to be made, contribution requirement. And I actually called the Department of Management Services at the state level, the state actuary's office, to find out what the full slate of ramifications would be if the contributions were not made. The first step is that state premium tax revenue, which is taxes that are levied on auto insurance rates within the municipality of Sweetwater. Right now it's about $80,000 a year, and that goes to directly offset the city's contribution requirement to help fund the pension plan. That would be withheld. That's the first step that they would take. The second step is that the State Department of Revenue and the State Department of Financial Services would be contacted and informed of the deficit and contribution funding to the pension plan. And if once that happens, they would get the green light, or actually the red light, to withhold any and all state funding to the city of Sweetwater, which would include any taxes that the state collects on behalf of Sweetwater and returns back to the city. So, I mean, that could be very substantial in terms of a loss of revenue.
Well, then, in that case, has there ever been a study to update that 1%? Because from what I understand, a lot of that revenue goes to the city of Miami right now, because we haven't applied.
If I
Can
may,
you explain that, please?
when we annexed, it was roughly, I want to say, about 42,000 or something that we were incurring. At that time, the previous year after that, it ballooned to somewhere 68, 70. And what that entails, and I've been trying to get help on this, what it does is basically the new companies that we incurred, which use commercial vehicles, such as the crane company, I forgot their name, George's Crane. Both concrete companies, the O&M, the one adjacent to them, which is H&R Paving. Those are all commercial vehicles, and their mother company is in Sweetwater. We do not know if they're registered in the city of Sweetwater. Those premiums will come to us. They might be still registered in the city of Miami, and it's going over there. I've been trying to set up a team or something to that effect to go to the businesses, and it's basically just a form that they have to fill out through their insurances, and it basically, that monies will come to us now. And again, we have a lot of warehouses, commercial vehicles, that's what it entails. And it might go from 70,000 that we're intaking for the pension, and it offsets costs to the city, to maybe double, 140, 200, I don't know. I don't know the exact figure. So that is an avenue that I've been trying to.
Again, nobody's come to you to try to.
No, I've been just reaching out to anybody that can help me out. Maybe maybe code enforcement can help us.
Okay.
Code enforcement maybe could help us because they know the businesses, which ones have that. It's a simple form. Nothing's going to happen to the business. It's just basically, do you have your insurance? This is your mother company here. Like Ryder doesn't have their mother company here.
Right.
You know, they're probably somewhere in St.
Right.
Louis or whatnot. But these other companies that have many commercial vehicles do.
And that money now goes to the city of Miami, right?
It probably does. I don't know who it goes to.
Okay.
We need to find out who their insurance carrier is then, and tell them, through your insurance, do you have the address in Sweetwater or Miami, whatever they have? That's basically it. And we came, basically we're here to help the city in any way, shape, or form because of its dire straits now. And that's why I reached out to him and basically said, hey, listen, if we can divert the monies that are owed to 2018 or whatnot to help the city, we're for it. We're for it. That's why I came to him. And, to let everybody know that it's not going to go to 1.3, it's not going to go to 1.4, it's not going to go to 1.6. Those are the exact figures, and that's where it's going to stay.
Okay.
Through the chair,
Sorry.
Mr. Medina, I don't know if you recall that I was in a pension
Yes, sir.
meeting
Yes,
a
sir.
few months ago,
Yes, you did.
and that was the first time I
And I
heard
welcome you. Yes, sir.
everything that you just explained now about the recovery of a portion of that insurance premium
Yes, sir.
that we evidently are losing to the city of Miami or maybe Doral,
Could be.
because those
Or the
trucks.
county. Most likely it's the county, because that was an unincorporated data, if I'm not
Right,
mistaken.
or
Yes,
the
sir.
county.
Correct.
And you gave me the business card of the attorney of the pension
Yes, sir.
fund. And the following day, I passed that information to our city attorney. and gave him the card of your, or the name, I can't remember, either the card or the name of your
Pedro
attorney,
Herrera, yes.
to try to do something to recover that, to whatever needs to be done, a resolution, or it won't be an ordinary resolution or something. I'm very glad that you come here today to see if we can push this forward again, you know, a second win, and try to get that money. I asked our city attorney to please see if you can, you know, get the banner and see if we can get that money to the city of Sweetwater.
Yes, Commissioner Suarez, I recall those conversations. What I can tell you now is that basically there is no legislation that is needed. The law already exists, the requirement's already in place. What is needed is, from an administrative standpoint, basically survey those businesses, ascertain or ensure that they are registered in the proper jurisdiction, and only that can happen tomorrow morning or at any time. There really isn't any legislation other than perhaps a directive to administration to go ahead and do what's already in the books. But that can be done without any legislation. It can be done tomorrow morning if it's set up that way.
Yes, it's a form that I have in my office that basically, they go ahead and fill it out, and we send it back to Tallahassee. And then Tallahassee knows when those insurance monies come in, they know that it pertains to the city of Sweetwater.
And even by motion right now, you may direct administration to go ahead and perhaps conduct that survey so the information can properly be ascertained, and if those monies are being diverted to the wrong jurisdictions, that it can be corrected. You may do so by motion. You don't even have to, because it's already, the requirement's already there. So it's a matter of just surveying those businesses.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate it.
So we don't need a motion then.
We don't need,
You could have that, but what I'm saying is, it wouldn't be needed. You can render the directive, but,
And can this be done at this special meeting?
you can make
We
the
have to
motion.
wait for the
You can make a motion, direct administration to,
Well, I
You
make
take
a
an
motion, I make a motion to the Director of the Administration to see what process we have to do in order to recover that money, if it is recoverable. I was explaining at the meeting that that it could be a substantial amount of money that would be very beneficial to the city today, as we all know.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Suarez.
Second.
By,
Commissioner.
Commissioner Diaz. And Ñaño, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that passes, so thank you. Okay, okay, we took care of that. Okay, the next thing I'd like to do is actually read the resolution for the record here, which would be item 5, a resolution of the City of Sweetwater declaring that certain conditions of financial emergency as provided in Florida Statute 2018-503 have been met, and requesting that the governor appoint an oversight board. First of all, do I have a motion?
Move.
Commissioner Diaz. And I'll second it for discussion. For discussion only. But first, I'd like to read my response to a memo sent by the mayor yesterday or today, I don't know when I got it. And I'd like to read my memorandum. I provide this memorandum to address your correspondence dated today regarding the above-mentioned meeting. What your memorandum includes is very alarming. What's equally alarming is what you failed to mention. You have violated our charter, code of ordinances, and Florida statutes by not implementing the duly adopted budget of this commission. Number 2, the only way in which you have chosen to manage the city's financial difficulties is to demand an increase of over 60% in the city's ad valorem taxes. When this commission did not agree with the steep tax increase, the only option you presented and pursued is to have the state come in and fix the problem for you. Number 3, you have limited our access to the finance department and have been conspicuously absent for over 10 commission meetings. Some of these meetings have been extremely important, such as special meetings to discuss budget matters and budget workshops. Neither you nor your staff have been present at said meetings. We are currently facing very costly litigation due to your intentional failure to implement the lawful budget of the city and completely squandered an opportunity to moot out said litigation through the adoption of a budget amendment. Instead, you and your staff chose once again to be absent, thus precluding any work towards a budget amendment. When I was in the U.S. Marine Corps, there was a saying, you either lead, follow, or get out of the way. Respectfully, Mr. Mayor, you have failed to lead by not looking for any option to overcome the city's financial difficulties. You have failed to follow the Commission's directives, including implementation of duly adopted budget. All you have done is to embarrassingly attempt to get out of the way so the state can come in and do the job you failed to do. At tonight's meeting, I will discuss some options available to the city to solve its financial challenges. Now, I don't think that anybody at this point is debating that we do have financial challenges, but I want to make it very clear that your administration has been an utter failure. You spent all the time and energy for a whole year trying to bring the state in to take over, as you mentioned from the first meeting, and you have done nothing to try to bring any other options to increase any revenue. It's been kind of a fire at you will, the people that I guess are targeted and not done in the right procedures. You have persons, obviously you don't like talking about it, but they're on budgeted positions. And that's what's caused us a lot of problems in litigation right now. We're looking to see that we can fix this problem, but we've been cut off at the pass. Today, for example, we don't have the, you're asking us for, an emergency situation. Where's the finance director? Where's the finance department? Nobody's here. It's always the same thing. It's a constant badgering. They call us names, do things for a year. We've been quiet. We've been taking it. We're going to court. It's been extended and extended and extended, playing a game. And now, yeah, we probably have some serious financial situation. But it's not because we didn't put in a 63% tax increase. It's because your administration's been a failure. You spent all your time talking and telling all the employees, the media, which apparently was called here by your administration, to say that it's all the commissioner's fault. You're blaming everybody but your administration. And I think that you need to take a step back and look at what's going on and realize that there were a lot of options and that it was going to be a tight budget. I would think maybe $200,000-$300,000 were going to be left over in for reserves. But obviously, you haven't done any steps to bring any revenues in here to cut appropriately or ask for help from any of these people that have come today. And everything's been delayed. When they ask for something, it's been delayed. You constantly have a meeting with the state every week, which is fine, that's great. But it's always been to bring them in. It's never to tell them exactly what's going on. For example, I spoke to the Inspector General myself, and she wasn't aware at the time, until recently. All these numbers that you were giving her and all the things you were doing, you never told her that you had never implemented the adopted budget. You were going on your own budget, and it was the commissioners, and it was a 63% that needed to go up. It was the only way to fix the problem. And in a whole year, you've done nothing to better the situation. And now that we've gone to where you wanted to go with all of this, because some of your staff members have even told me that they don't care, they don't live in the city. They're very happy about everything that's going on. So I think the other commissioners are a little upset too, and I think today's a day of reckoning, like you put in but I think it's a reckoning for you. I think it's for you to wake up and realize that what you're doing to the citizens, the employees, is not right. And it's just an utter failure. I mean, just ridiculously giving a pounding to people for no reason. I don't understand why. But the bottom line is that those are the results. And now we are probably in a pretty serious, challenging thing that we might be able to work out of if we implement some of the options that I'm gonna probably outline a little later. I don't know if any commissioner
Through
would
the
like to.
chair. Mayor Lopez, do you know how much the state is
If I-
going to charge the city?
If I may,
No,
I'd just
he's
like
got
to
the
really
floor.
address that really
Wait a
quick
minute, wait a
before-
minute. He's
I
got the
have the
floor.
floor,
If-
ma'am.
Let him
Go ahead.
finish, please.
I just want to ask you a couple of questions. Do you know how much the state is going to charge the city if they have to take over the city because of the financial emergency?
They don't charge the city. If it is requested by the commission or a state legislator, they do not charge the city. They don't charge for audits or.
I don't think so.
Do you
I
have
think that they
anything
do.
in writing that states that?
We've requested this from the IG's office, and they said so long as it's the unanimous support from the city, or it's requested from our state legislature, they do not charge for it.
Okay, well, do you have it in writing? Do you have it from him?
No,
Uh-huh.
sir. I said it was a verbal communication.
Right.
Now, may
That's
I?
part
may-
of that. No, that's part of the problem. I think today you need to realize that, at least me personally, I've had enough. I'm going to hear the same thing from you and from your staff, and I think it's time that you listen. And I'm not here to pound you, but I'm here to let you know that if you've brought us to this yourself by being a failure as an administrator, completely, haven't spent any moment in trying to bring in revenues and do anything. You've been an obstructionist to people that have tried to develop hotels, property, using ridiculous legalities to try to, not sign things, not do things. And anything else, Commissioner Diaz?
Actually, I was requesting the chair right after Diaz, so I'd like to get it now.
No. You're gonna.
I haven't finished. Thank you, Mr. President. I want to ask you, Mr. Lopez, Mr. Mayor Lopez, do you know that if the state takes over the city, it would increase the property taxes substantially to the point that every resident, every property owner in this city is gonna suffer the consequences of that kind of measure accordingly to you, to save the city? This is a city made of retired people, low-income retirees, hardworking people. If the state comes and increase the taxes to 7 or 8%, that's what they have done in the past in other municipalities, our community, a lot of people are gonna lose their homes, and a lot of business owners are gonna leave the city because they cannot sustain that kind of punishment. So, my last question is, has the state has sent you a letter of payment for, I don't know, with a date line of 90 days, or is it past due 90 days limit for example, the red light cameras? Have you tried to negotiate with them, those monies?
No?
You can answer, yes,
Okay.
sir.
Yes, we've been in communication with the state of Florida in negotiations of discussing the red light camera program. We've told them that we do not have the monies because right now we have to do this. We have explained to them that we are budgeting to pay the full repayment in the 16-17 budget. Ms. Miguel told us that so long as we make some form of arrangements to make sure that these are paid, because if we don't make payments to the state, they in turn will then start holding state funding from being returned back to the city. So that is being addressed at the time. Now, to go back to the comments that you were making, the funny part about it is that you're making all these comments, Commissioner Berriant, when in August of last year, when you were sitting in my conference room in front of several witnesses
Yes.
that you were there, you said that the budget that was passed at the time was a true and correct budget, but that politics and outside political influences would never allow that to go forward. So
Wait,
if
wait,
somebody's
wait,
playing,
no, no,
I'm
but
speaking,
let
I
me-
am
but
speaking,
can you
so let me
repeat it? I
finish
understand.
speaking.
Go ahead.
So if somebody is a failure here and a total embarrassment for the city, it is yourself.
Okay, I don't
That
think so.
you understand that the budget was correct, but politics influence your decision. This is simple numbers. This is mathematics. This is not politics here in the city, sir.
Listen, those again, what's happened with you since the beginning of this administration, when you first started with the firing of the 15 police officers illegally, and I still went to your office, just like I did for Mayor Diaz when he first started, and I told you that I would push everything aside forget about politics, and that in 4 months, the commission will be with you if you did the things that were proper and normal, and you showed people that you were gonna act like a normal person and not to all the things that you kept doing. And in that 3-hour meeting that we had, not one thing, everybody's wrong, you're the one that has every plan, you have everything down packed. That meeting was one of the meetings where you left, the one that you're talking about that we had, that you're saying, well, let me go back to what you were saying. It's been constant, and I've realized this through other meetings that I've had with you, that you have a great history of projecting the difference in words, a lot of wordplay. One time here, I told you that you said at the ad valorem, at the millage rate meeting, that the governor was gonna be coming here in December. You said, those words never came out of my mouth. The reason why, because it was January. I misspoke and said January. But that's the type of attitude that you've taken to everything. Instead of dealing with the actual problem, it's always a wordplay. Okay, but that's not gonna help us. What we need to do is to fix these problems, and your administration has been a failure, because we're going always back to what somebody said, you're blaming somebody else. The bottom line is that you control every lever in the city. The finance department, you took away our secretary, everything. You control every lever here. You're the strong mayor, and you projected a very weak position for the city in the way that you've acted for a whole year. Nothing. You haven't done nothing. Everything's going to be in the future and in the past. As a matter of fact, your main concern at that meeting with Mr. Ventura, a finance director, and the two finance people that were there, the whole thing was that they wanted a negotiation that we put back that we left the 4 police officers that you brought, and that you would slowly pay us back when the state would come for bringing back all those employees as we got money from the state. And then I asked you in a meeting, because you went down to the police department and told everybody in the police department, again, the commissioners are ruining this, this has been going on for a year. And telling all the employees the same thing. And very smart, you don't put it in writing. Everybody just give them a little speech down there and tell them, hey, it's the commissioner's fault, we didn't go to 4.5, but we're gonna make all of you full-time officers with the money that the state's giving us. Then at the next meeting, I asked you point blank, and all the officers were sitting back there, and you choked and finally had to say, no, we're gonna use it to pay our bills. But that's the kind of stuff that you've been doing around here. You've been playing political games with everybody. And we've been taking it for a year.
I've never said something and go back on my words like you do. In that meeting, that very same meeting that you're referring to in my conference room, you're the one that tried to leverage that. You said, if you do this for you, I'll give you Sergio Cabrera, I'll allow you to hire him.
No, sir.
Yes, sir.
See, here we go again with the words. First of all, there's no way, because I can tell you that since...
You've got a resolution on hand. There's something real simple.
No,
it's
not
to
real
call
simple.
the question.
No, it's not
to
simple
vote on
anymore.
it.
That's what
'Cause
you
we can
thought
go
today
at
was
it.
going to be.
No,
It's not simple today.
Listen, it's not really
Today-
fair. We can go at it all night. We can go at this
We
for
will.
4 hours.
We
I can
will.
criticize you, you can criticize
Because
me.
you leave,
We're
you don't
absolutely
show
not
up.
going to get anywhere. You've got a resolution
get
on hand.
somewhere.
This is real simple. Do you want to
No,
vote in
sir.
favor of the resolution?
No,
Do you
no,
want to
no.
vote against the resolution?
Okay, wait. That's it.
All the commissioners have questions.
Wait a minute. Commissioner Yaño,
Through the
please.
chair. Please, Mayor, I have a question. Have you given any raises to any employees during this fiscal year?
Yes, I have.
You have.
Yes.
How many?
I don't know.
You want me to tell you?
If you can, you probably
Sure.
have it in front
I
of
have
you.
information in front of me. 14 employees
Okay.
have been getting raises. I'm going to mention names. I'm going to give you the percentage of the raise of those employees. 21.86, 11.32, 10.3, 26.70, 15.24. One employee got 2 raises, 18.08 and 4.92. But what really surprised me the best is that one employee got 62.68%. Do we have a financial situation and will you give it raises?
I don't know. If you'd like, you can discuss that with me in person and not create this little
I
debacle
have
here.
it right here.
Because
Just mention
we can
each
go
one.
person by person, because obviously there will always be a memo
But wait
to
a-
substantiate the raises.
Wait a minute. Mr. Attorney, is there not a limit of I don't think that's correct. You can't do unbudgeted raises.
Fire people.
This is the same type of thing that we're dealing with here.
I don't understand.
How can you be firing people and doing all this and then have unbudgeted raises? Can you explain what the legalities are involved in this?
If you can give me 1 minute, I believe that there is a section of the code on point if I can retrieve it, I can address it. There's a section that I believe prohibits unbudgeted raises. But let me pull that.
Commissioner Yaño, how many, while he's looking it up, how many employees we talking about?
14 employees have got raises, and we are in a financial situation. I don't understand it. To be honest, sir,
Well,
I don't
had,
understand.
what I was gonna ask today was, I know of two, and now recently, they laid off 3 maintenance employees that make somewhere in a facility, I think 3 of them make between $26,000 and $27,000. One of them makes about $35,000. With insurance and everything, when I looked it up, it's somewhere around $193,000. And then, at the same time, we have 3 supervisors for those same people that are each making over $110,000 average. So, there's something going on here with the pay raises, and we need to follow that up.
It really threw me off. I don't understand why. How can we afford? I mean, you're trying to coach to higher, taxes, then you're giving raises. I mean, and the answer goes not to me. It goes to the citizen of the city of Sweetwater.
And 5 employees.
We are asking to raise the taxes, and we're giving raises 62.68%. This is outrageous.
Mr. Qualler?
Mr. President, Section 2-211, entitled Mayor's Limited Spending Account, Limitations Reporting Replenishing Budget Line Items, Regulated Expenditures, and Adherence. Subsection D of that particular provision states as follows. The annual city budget and amendments thereto shall regulate expenditures of the city. The mayor shall adhere to each of the line items' purpose and scope for the expenditure of any sum appropriated therein. The use of funds budgeted as specific salary line items for any purpose other than as budgeted, and the granting of unbudgeted pay raises, except as the latter may be required by a duly ratified collective bargaining agreement, are hereby prohibited. What I would add to that is that absent action by the commission via a budget amendment approving those raises, absent that, those are basically prohibited expenditures.
I really doubt that in the situation that we're in right now, that we're gonna approve retroactive raises that were illegally budgeted or given. Wow. Is there anything else?
Yes, I have a couple of
Wait,
questions.
Ms. Yaño, you have something?
No, I'm just gonna pass it over, so.
I have 2 questions.
Let's
sorry.
Commissioner
No,
Barrera
no,
go
Go ahead, Ms. Burr.
And the resolution that he says that we would have to need to pass today, in the whereas it says 1 to 5 in the line for regions for 1.6 million. That line of credit, it's secured by a piece of land and is in process to sales. And every time that I see a financial data from Mr. Mendez show us a liability. I know it's a liability, but the due date is in November, right?
Yes,
Correct.
ma'am.
The forbearance agreement's
And we
extending it through
don't-
November
It's
1st.
secured by the piece of land that's in process to sell. And also,
If I can interrupt a minute, please.
yeah,
That's the problem. That's one of the problems we're having. The cash flow sheet that Mr. Mendez is giving out is like a 10th grade cash flow sheet. We've been asking for specific data, and it's always, oh well, it's not audited. It's being audited. We'll let you know. We don't know, that kind of thing. That cash flow statement always includes whatever the money we have on hand. They take some of the items that are payments and things that are due in the future, and taken off the bottom line for right now, act like as if it's due at this moment.
yeah, that's what I said. I understand it's a long-term liability,
Right.
but
It's not
it's
due till November.
secured by the piece
And
of
we haven't
land.
even attempted to renegotiate
Right.
with them and see what we can do.
All right, now, another thing in the resolution, number 4. I would like to know, I don't know if you have the answer because Mr. Mendez is not here. When we stop the payment the past due bond obligation to Miami-Dade County Stormwater for $209,000. I would like to know when we stop the payment, who authorized not to make the payment, and if you inform the commission that you stop the payment. Do you have that information with you?
Okay, that invoice actually made it to the city about a week to 10 days ago. It's a past due invoice from 2010 that the city had not received until now.
Why?
We've owed that money since 2010, since the annexation. Apparently, the county neglected to send that bill. It was a stormwater drainage bill once we annexed the areas to the north. And we just received that bill about a week to 10 days ago. It's not a past due that it's been sitting in somebody's desk or anything. The city received it about less than 10 days ago.
Have you
We
tried
were-
to negotiate it?
No, not at this moment, because this bill can either be paid from general funds or from stormwater utility.
But it doesn't mean it has to be paid. You can renegotiate it.
Right.
The bank has been
That is absolutely
incredible
correct, Commissioner.
helpful.
If we just got it a week ago, this is something that we're going to get to. You know, besides this,
But
that this
it's
is
a
not on
week
this
ago,
memo as well.
and we're gonna be on the financial urgency. I
There's $82,000 that we
think I'd be
just
on the phone
got
that
from the state of Florida that they, when we were being reimbursed by the grants, they reimbursed us an $82,000. That we addressed immediately, telling them we acknowledge the fact that we did receive double payments, because they did send us a check for twice for $82,000,
Right.
and we're in the process of renegotiating this. This bill just got here 10 days ago.
I would have been on the phone the next day.
I
That's
believe the
another
finance
failure.
director
It's
could
just
be.
this administration.
And why we don't have that kind of information to all the commissioners so we know what's going on? Because it says like another liability. So-
It is being laid out here for you, isn't it? It did just arrive here 10 days ago.
Any other questions? Commissioner Diaz?
Just a question, thank you, Mr. President, for Guillermo. I heard of some layoff, employees being laid off by Mayor Lopez. Those layoffs doesn't have to be, they don't have to be in accordance to seniority for the employees? When there is a financial shortage or downfall in an institution, employees that are under contract, you have to lay off them according to their seniority. Correct me if I am wrong. Because I see employees brought lately by Mayor Lopez working and enjoying life, and those that have dedicated 10, 15 years to the city, they are being laid off.
I believe that there is a seniority component in both the union agreements. If you give me a couple moments, I can
I
review them.
appreciate that, sir.
Mr. President,
And I have actually your answer, Commissioner Barreto. Ralph just told me that he is in the process of negotiating that repayment. He just has not finished the final agreement yet.
Why you showing here like we have to pay that away?
It's still an outstanding debt that we were not aware of. This is a debt that we didn't know about a year ago. We just found out about that one 10 days ago. We were just notified about an overpayment from the state of Florida last week that we just sent them a letter extending a payment plan for the 16-17 budget.
How did you find out there was an overpayment?
They sent a letter to the grants department that rather than sending a payment of $82,000, they sent it twice.
And the finance department didn't catch it? Or they were just busy trying to get the state to come and take over? Because that's all he's done till now.
Okay.
It's been a failure. It's ridiculous.
May I?
Yes, Mr.
We don't have some kind of rules about employment, like somebody comes working.
It's in their contract.
Something like that.
I'm sorry, I'm not following.
Rules, the way that he fired people, like some people work here, like he says, 20 years. I think that we have some rules for that, right?
There are some provisions in both collective bargaining agreements pertaining to that. I'm going to go ahead and look that up right now and share that with you. And again, I believe they also address the issue of seniority. Typically, if to the extent that there may be any issues, more than likely you will hear from the union reps. They will contact administration, tell them there was some irregularity. I am not aware whether that has happened or not, but I'm going to go ahead and review the collective bargaining agreements right now, so I can answer specifically.
Some employees that are not in the union. That they work for the city like 10 years or 15 years, and then somebody comes and work for the city 6 months and they're still working here.
At that point, the issue of seniority may not be compulsory, but if you allow me to
Yeah,
to
I would
look it
like
up,
to know that too.
I can provide you an answer on that.
You know, this reminds me of, in Dade County, that one mayor was recalled, for raising taxes and giving friends raises. And, God forbid. It's the same type of situation we have here. Commissioner, anybody have any other questions or comments?
Well, you already mentioned about the employees that, the maintenance department, right? You just mentioned that they would,
Yes,
actually
there was,
the job-
you're targeting people that have been here for years and make $27,000 a year.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Now that you mention it, something comes to my mind, okay? Like a year ago, we have 21, 22 employees plus 3 supervisors in maintenance,
Okay.
okay? Now, right now, we have 12 employees and 3 supervisors. So that means that we're talking about that now we have 1 supervisor for 4 employees. And the supervisors, like you mentioned, they're making a lot of money. And they're still there. Simply, I don't understand how we can save money this way.
All right. Before I keep going, anybody have any other questions or anything? Or are you going to be looking at it?
I have a partial answer to the earlier question. Thank you, Commissioner Suarez, because you had one of the collective bargaining agreements handy.
I didn't have the other, but at least I have.
Yes, no, thank you so much. For the civilian union, Article 11 that deals with seniority and layoffs goes on to discuss that in the event of a layoff for any of the above reasons, the first to be laid off are temporary employees in the affected department. This will be followed by the original entrance probationary employees, and finally by permanent employees. Seniority and ability to perform the job duties will be factors considered by the mayor in determining the order of layoffs within the above groups. And then he continues to discuss the process for recalling employees that have been laid off.
Thank you. I'm sorry,
Go ahead.
the chair. Mayor, I have a couple of questions regarding the item number 5 on the ordinance, past due workers' compensation invoice for over $100,000. Is this Miami-Dade County Women's Comp?
Yes, sir. It's an invoice for an employee that was apparently hurt in 1989.
Okay, and if I properly recall, the city stopped using Miami-Dade County Women's Comp 4 or 5 years ago, and I think that the League of Cities was taking care of the Women's Comp for the city of Sweetwater.
That's correct. But as I stated, the employee was hurt back in 1989.
In 89?
Correct. Or it could be 99. But I know that it was a considerable amount of time ago. The
Have you
employee-
contacted them to see if there is any?
Ricardo is in the process of trying to figure out a payment plan for them, because obviously we don't have those monies budgeted to make a payment of $120,000. What was normally budgeted for the workman's comp expense was, I believe, I think it was about $10,000 a quarter, and not to receive a bill for $120,000.
And have you or your team have research about if the validity of this claim, if it's
The-
realistic? or-
Miami-Dade County is the one that does it. Apparently it is an employee that got hurt. Why there was no billing for such a period of time, I don't know. We can't really get into any of the issues of the medical records. The only thing I can imagine is that there was some type of injury that required some type of surgery 15 or 20 years later.
Well, Mayor, I think that you have to start moving forward and taking care of business, because otherwise the city really is gonna go into serious financial issues.
I think that, if I can,
Go ahead.
what just happened here about the PBA and the workers' union with the laying off of individuals that are not in the right order or can bring us litigation. It's gonna bring us a grievance process, and worse yet, it's gonna, it's gonna reduce our ability to negotiate and restructure our debt with the PBA and the workers' union, which up to now have been great when we have engaged them in other times, but same thing with the bank and the credit line.
Right.
Let me see what else I have. I'm not trying to get personal here, Mayor, but I don't understand why. Why didn't you show up for the meetings for special meetings for budget workshops or your staff? I don't understand that.
I asked staff to attend when they can attend. For example, today there was an email that Ricardo Mendez sent that he is ill today. I believe that the clerk was copied on that as well. I made sure to forward it to every single commissioner so that this would not become an issue. But obviously there's times that people are ill, and let's say that if you schedule a meeting without making sure that my attendance can be done, that I've made prior engagements, I obviously cannot attend that those days.
But these meetings, some of them were called by you.
That's what I was going to
You
say.
call the meeting and you don't
I'm
show up,
sorry.
and the staff doesn't show up.
Okay.
For example, today,
and I don't
we
know
don't
if
have
Robert is in the
a,
audience here, and he can attest to at least one of them in particular. There was a meeting that I needed to make sure that the item passed, and you can ask Robert or Rada afterwards. And I told Robert, I said, Robert, make sure that you attend the meeting, and you attend, and you present this. Because if I present this and I support this, the probability of the fact is that the commission was not going to pass it. So
That's
make
not
sure
true.
that you
That's
support
not
it.
true, because I myself have made sure that anything that's come up here, if anybody has voted.
You asked
for-
me a question, I was trying to
Well,
answer,
now
and you,
I'm
no, hold on
replying
a
to
second,
you.
you were interrupting me. You
Right.
try to be a stickler by not interrupting people.
Right.
Okay, if you do not believe it, you can certainly ask Robert, as well as you can ask other staff, that there have been plenty of times that if I want to make sure that something passes, so that I do not attend and somebody else presents it so that it gets support. Because for the most part, when I try to give support for items do not pass.
That is not true.
Perfect.
Every
That
time.
is your opinion, sir.
No, that is a fact.
No, that's not a fact.
You can look at the voting record. Anything that has not been due to any of the unbudgeted issues or any of that, I have voted 100% in every item that you have brought, and I have usually been the first to make the motion. Okay, what we're talking about here is a financial destruction of a city, and wow, what a coincidence! The people they get sick 10 times in a row, and the rest of the staff, because we have all these other people that help them that are great. Every time Mr. Mendez comes up, he says everybody's great in his staff. Not one person could have made it that night to say, hey, these are the numbers. Nothing.
That I
We
am
did
aware
a-
of.
we wanted to
All
do a
those numbers
budget
were-
amendment.
All
And by
those
the way-
numbers were presented to you by my office 4 days in advance.
Listen, the numbers that you have given us are all using your tentative budget or your own budget, not the adopted budget. Just the same thing as you didn't tell the Inspector General of the state. While you're asking for her to take over,
Ralph,
you tell
is she
her.
not aware of this?
No, I don't need to listen from Ralph.
You don't want to listen to anybody. You want to believe
Well,
your own
yes,
lies.
today is our meeting, and we would like to say what we missed through the 10 meetings.
No,
that
actually,
you
it's
showed.
not your meeting. It's
Okay,
my
a
meeting. I
commission
called the meeting.
Doesn't matter, it's a commission meeting.
Okay.
Read the title. Okay? So, does anybody else have any other questions?
Well, through the chair,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make some comments here publicly, maybe to get it out of the system, I don't know. I want to make it public. The administration imposed its own budget, ignoring the final commission amended budget of September 28, 2016. This imposed administration budget has proven to be a failure after 9 months that has placed the city finances in the catastrophic path where we all are today. Had the final commission amended budget been adopted, the administration would have not been responsible for this failure, and the commission would have had the opportunity to amend it 1, 2, 3 times, or whatever was necessary to avoid being where we all are today. Thank you.
Thank you
Chair.
for being the voice of reason.
So, Chair,
Commissioner Maroney?
why the commissioner, city commissioner Pepe Diaz can speak in the podium and you don't let Mr. Ventura's talking about? What's the difference?
I have the right. I'm running the meeting. You voted for me for president
Yeah, but that's
of
not
the
fair.
commission.
But that's not fair, I think,
Today it's fair.
because you say it's fair.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, as promised in my memorandum, I did a little bit of homework, and I didn't even have to go too far with some of these things. I just haven't been able, because I'm not an administration, and I need the public to understand that we're not the administration, so we can't, we're legislative body. We approve the budget, but as being a strong mayor, he's the administrator, and he's the one that has to go out and make these deals to renegotiate contracts and renegotiate things that we have. And I've outlined here about 6 items that are options that obviously from some of the unions coming here and saying that nobody's contacted them, and they themselves say that, they're working on it. But hey, it's been a year. We've spent a lot of time every week to the Inspector General's office, phone tagging them and telling them all kinds of things about us, and that's fine, but they're not doing their job. There's been a failure, and the options that I have found here, I'll just outline a couple of them. We need to refinance or restructure some of our financial obligations, obviously. You think that's funny? The police pension board, maybe we can structure a payment plan to ensure payment over the next 4 to 5 budget years in conjunction with this settlement, and look into pension, the pension board to address the deficit. They're willing to work with us. It's like anybody else. When they go on to collect, they want to get their money. They'd rather get something than nothing or get it over time. We need to establish contact with the, as a matter of fact, establish contact with the League of Cities, Florida League of Cities, and see, they have a pool loan program that can be an option for Sweetwater. It's right on their website. It's a bond pool. The Florida Municipal Loan Council is a fixed rate loan pool program for cities to use for capital improvements, renovations, fixed assets, additions, or refinancing of existing debt. The minimum loan size is $3 million with terms of payment up to 30 years. We have, they also have commercial paper. Borrowing has been used by some larger local governments, but may not have been an alternative for many issuers because of a large initial amount required to achieve economies of scale. Through pooling needs of many entities, the Florida League of Cities makes commercial paper feasible for both small and large governments. The commercial paper program provides an alternative to the traditional fixed rate debt for both short-term needs and possibly for diversification of long-term debt portfolio. You also have the line of credit. We can seek another extension. The bank has been more than willing to work with us, so that we do sell the property, we can make a substantial payment towards the principal and maybe continue making interest payments. I don't think that they're going to be. They don't want to put the screws to us. They want our city to continue and to prosper. We have a stormwater bond that we can negotiate payment plan with the county. You just had them here today. They're willing to negotiate. They're willing to help us. They're willing to do whatever we need to do. They have found this online. Pension obligation bonds and other post-employment benefits that show ways that we can get money or work with the to get bonds for the pension. And then, obviously, in section 5.03 of our charter, it authorizes the issuance of emergency notes one time during the fiscal year, each fiscal year. And I'm just going over this in general to not bore you with every little detail. But, and that can be done one time a year, and it can be done in the amount equal to 5% of the operating budget. So with us, that's about approximately $1 million. None of these avenues have been taken care of. Nobody's tried it. We spent a lot of time trying to get that state to come down here for a year. that were promised that were gonna be here last January. Promised the officers a lot of jobs, promised a lot of people, all I did is lay off, fire them, and hurt them. All I can tell you is, let me see if I got any other questions. I had a lot here. To be clear, at least in my part, I don't think that anybody here is negating that we do have financial challenges. We had them from the beginning, we were working on them, and the door was shut in our face by all the litigation and all the posturing. All I'm basically saying, unfortunately, I have to say it this way, it's the doing of the mayor's administration, and they've just concentrating on taking us down. I'm very disappointed. We have people that are just trying to hurt the city for some reason, and I find it really, there's a lot of people that are being hurt, and it's not right. These options are some of them available, and they got lawyers and they got more people in their staff that can do all this stuff. We don't even have a secretary. And at this point, I'm gonna withdraw my seconding of the motion. I'm not gonna support any of this.
Second.
No.
Wait.
Wait. I'm withdrawing. Do you still have the motion?
No, after all this discussion and all those findings, I decline my motion as well.
Okay, do I have a motion by anyone? Okay, the resolution doesn't go forward, to the lack of a motion or a second. And that's done, let me get my other paper. We go on to item 5. Ratification of department heads.
At this time, I'm presenting Raul Horbello for Chief of Police.
Mayor, please.
What is the name?
Raul Horbello.
Arvalo.
Does he have the qualification? I don't know. I don't know.
Yes,
Chair.
ma'am. He is the assistant, to the chief. He's been director of operations in the city. He is more than qualified.
May I have the floor, Mr.
Yes, sir.
Chair? Mayor, this is one of the things that, and believe me, nothing personal, but if you were going to present someone, why didn't you brought us or present to the commission via email or a hard copy, the qualifications and from Raul Herbelo?
He's here?
I know Mr. Herbelo is not present tonight. No, he's not here. And he might be pretty much qualified, but we don't know. Why don't you try to exhaust a little bit of diplomacy with the commissioners, and you share your ideas and your solutions before you just bring it to us right on the spot?
And now I'm going to answer your question. He's been a law enforcement officer for 30 years. He's far more experienced than
Palacio?
than any of the other officers here in the city of Sweetwater. When you were interim mayor and you brought Jesse Menacall for ratification, you didn't provide anybody with any form of documentation or anything.
Excuse me.
Jesse had
We
no-
all knew Jesse Menacall.
And everybody in this commission here knows Raul Herbelo.
No, sir.
He's been
I've
here
met
for a
him, but
year.
I don't know him.
No, sir.
Por favor, Mr. Mayor,
Bueno,
don't bring that up.
Commissioner
he
Suarez
is
asked
my
for a resume.
nomination at the time.
Mr. Mayor, we're dying to ratify somebody, whether you believe it or not. We're dying to ratify somebody. All you gotta do is bring a resume. Guys show up, we read it a couple days ahead of time.
No, Commissioner.
Everybody will be
You
happy.
have done everything possible to not ratify anybody. And that was
You
one of the
haven't,
exchanges.
you haven't brought any name.
And one of the
resume or
exchanges
nothing.
that you had with me in my office was that you told me, you personally told me that you would never
Yes.
ratify anybody that I brought from the city of Miami.
That's not true.
Yes, sir, you said that.
No. See, again, the play on words. What I told you, and I told Mr. Placido Diaz, and Mr. Carmona in their office, the first time I met them, that I will never, ever ratify any 4 of those officers that came from Miami. Not because they came from Miami, because in the way that they were brought in, and more importantly, they were unbudgeted. And to this day, they're unbudgeted.
Well, you just mentioned a conversation that you had with Placido and Carmona, and what I was referring to was the conversation that you had with me in my office.
No.
When you told me you would never ratify any of those 4. So,
Yeah, any of those 4.
and then you just told me right now
That's
that
my
you're dying to
prerogative.
ratify somebody.
Right.
Correct, it's your
But I'm
prerogative.
dying. If you bring him with a resume, and you bring somebody like Commissioner Suarez asked for, it's not normal what you're doing. You're just playing the game to keep Placido there, and that's fine. That, you know, that's why we're in court today. That's why we're spending thousands of dollars. And again, a failed administration.
May I, Mr. President? Mr. Mayor, I don't have a resume. Mr. Albelo maybe he's a nice policeman for many, many years in Miami. I don't have a resume, and Mr. Albelo is not here.
Would you even
Why?
be able to look at it and interpret it to try to figure out what it says?
No, I don't need
Hey, that's
interpreting.
that's not right.
No,
Don't insult him like that.
I'm not insulting. How
I
would
make a
you
motion-
look at a
No.
resume
Yeah,
and you
that's
have
it.
a judge to interpret it?
That's it, please.
Okay.
I'm making a motion
To the
to
chair,
not.
to the chair,
Yes,
just-
ma'am.
Can I make a comment?
Yes.
He's the only one that won't be able to interpret?
I'm not saying that.
Oh.
I'm saying what makes him a judge to be able to interpret the resume.
It's his job.
Through the chair.
Mr. Suarez. Commissioner.
As you mentioned, I have said it several times before, that the minimum that we should be provided to nominate, appoint a director is a resume 2-3 days before the meeting, and that person to be here present for us to see the person. If we have to ask any question, we will be able to ask the question. I heard, I can't remember from where, that the mayor is only required by charter, by city charter, to provide just a name. He doesn't have to provide a resume. He doesn't have to force that person to be here. He just has to bring a name. He can say Pepito, and we have to vote on Pepito. If that person is really interested in the job, if the mayor doesn't provide the resume, he can provide himself the resume. When I was looking for a job in my active working life, I sent hundreds of resumes everywhere. So if the candidate is interested, he can provide a resume and be here pursuing his interest. Officer Bello is not here. He didn't provide a resume. Why should I approve that position? Based on what?
Through the chair,
Commissioner Diaz.
I think that even if it's not in the charter or the code of ordinances, it's as a courtesy, the mayor should provide even the other directors with a copy of the person he's trying to bring aboard. I think that that's on the best practices to be, courteous with his colleagues and the persons that are leading the city. So nothing against Mr. Alberto. I know him and I know he's very experienced, but I would like to know more substance about his background and the responsibilities that he held in the past in the City of Miami Police Department.
Through the chair.
Commissioner Suarez.
I myself have nothing against Officer Herbello either, but because of what we have been discussing here, I wonder if he's really interested in that position or not. I don't know.
It's a nice question.
Okay, I make a motion to not ratify Officer Bello.
Second.
Motion by myself and a second to not nominate him. So to be clear, can you please explain how to vote?
Yes, the motion is not to ratify Deputy Chief Herbello. And a vote yes for that motion means no ratification.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Maronio,
Yes, I know him and I vote yes.
not to ratify.
No, to ratify.
A yes is a
So
no,
then
and
it's
a no is a
no.
yes.
Oh,
It's the
no.
opposite.
I want him, chief of police. I know him,
So you want to ratify him?
yes.
That would be a no
you-
vote.
So it's not.
So if you're not supportive of that motion, then your vote should be no.
No.
It's not support.
Yeah.
Commissioner
Yeah,
Suarez?
For the reason that I explained before, my vote is yes.
Commissioner Duazo?
I need resume and here, Mr. Albelo. What is vote yes, what is vote no? Please explain.
Your vote yes means no ratification.
Yes, but let me clarification.
This
That's
means
what I
no.
vote. I need resume and Mr. Albelo in here.
Commissioner Yanyo?
Yes.
Commissioner Barreto? Yes. Commissioner Diaz?
As I have to add to my decision, I think that Mayor Lopez should have the courtesy to inform us with the qualifications of each of the directors that he's bringing to his team. So my vote is yes.
President Bergignon?
Yes, to not ratify.
6 to 1.
Okay, item 6, adjournment. Moved by
Second.
Commissioner Barreto, second by Commissioner Diaz. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for your patience today, everybody.